Captain Lee Dongwoo stood on the bridge of the Soul's Pride, watching the stars through the main window. The ship was not pretty to look at. Its metal hull was thick and gray, covered with dents and scratches from many trips through space. Other ships from Earth looked the same way. They were built to last, not to win beauty contests. The Soul's Pride was small compared to the huge mining ships that worked near Earth. It carried only 12 people. Most of them were soldiers, but they also had Dr. Kim So-young, their science officer, and her 2 helpers. They had been in the Kepler 442 system for 3 weeks, looking for useful rocks and metals on the empty planets. Sergeant Park Ji-ho checked his plasma rifle for the 5th time that day. He always kept his weapon clean and ready. The rifle was big and heavy, made from dark metal that never seemed to shine no matter how much he polished it. It looked simple from the outside, but Park knew every part of it. He had built some of the pieces himself during his free time. "Any word from Earth?" Captain Lee asked Corporal Choi Min-ki, who sat at the communication station. "Nothing new, sir," Choi replied. "Just the usual reports from other survey ships. Seems like we are the only ones who found anything interesting in this part of space." Dr. Kim So-young looked up from her computer screen. She had been studying the readings from the planets they had visited. "The 3rd planet has more rare metals than we first thought," she said. "If we can set up a mining operation here, it will help Earth for many years." Captain Lee nodded. "Good work, Doctor. We will finish our survey tomorrow and then head home with the good news." Park walked over to the window and looked out at the stars. Something felt wrong, but he could not say what it was. He had learned to trust his feelings during his 10 years as a soldier. "Captain," he said slowly, "I think we should be more careful." "This system is too quiet. What do you mean?" Lee asked. "Look around us," Park said, pointing at the empty space. "No ships, no signals, no signs of life anywhere. But this system has everything anyone would want. Good planets, rare metals, perfect location between star systems. Someone should have claimed this place already." Dr. Kim frowned. "Maybe we are just lucky." "Not every good place in space has to be taken." Park shook his head. "In my experience, if something looks too good to be true, it usually is." Before anyone could answer, the ship's alarm began to ring. Choi's hands flew over his controls. "Captain!" he shouted. "I am getting massive energy readings. Something big is coming out of jump space." "How big?" Lee asked, moving to his command chair. "Very big, sir. Multiple contacts. I count. 27 ships. And they are huge." The space in front of them began to twist and bend. Bright lights flashed as ships appeared one by one. These were not like any human ships. They looked like they were made from crystal and glass with smooth curves and no straight lines. Each ship was 3 times bigger than the Soul's Pride, and they moved through space like living things. "Beautiful," Dr. Kim whispered. "Dangerous," Park corrected, checking his rifle again. The alien ships formed a circle around the Soul's Pride. They moved so smoothly that it looked like they were dancing. Their hulls seemed to change color as they moved, shifting from blue to green to purple. "Are they trying to talk to us?" Captain Lee asked. Choi worked at his station. "Yes, sir. I am getting a signal. It is strange. Like they are speaking directly into my head." "Put it on the main speaker," Lee ordered. A voice filled the bridge. It was deep and cold, speaking perfect English. "Small vessel, you will surrender immediately. Prepare to be boarded. Your ship and crew now belong to the Vorthak Empire." Lee stood up straight. He had been a soldier before he became a ship captain. "This is Captain Lee Dongwoo of the Earthship Soul's Pride. We are on a peaceful mission. We do not want any trouble." The alien voice laughed. It was not a nice sound. "Peaceful? You are insects flying through space in a metal box. You have no choice in this matter. Lower your shields and prepare for boarding. Do not make this harder than it needs to be." Park stepped closer to his captain. "Sir, should we try to run?" Lee looked at the alien ship surrounding them. There was no way to escape. The Soul's Pride was fast for a human ship, but these crystal ships moved like they were part of space itself. "No, Sergeant. We would not get very far." Dr. Kim was studying her readings. "Captain, their technology is incredible. I have never seen energy signatures like this. Their ships are not just fast, they seem to bend space around them, which means they could destroy us easily if they wanted to." Lee said quietly, "But they want to capture us instead. That might give us a chance." The alien voice spoke again. "You have 30 seconds to comply. After that, we will take your ship by force." Captain Lee looked at his crew. They were all young, all brave, and all very far from home. He had to keep them alive. "We will comply," he said into the communication system. "But we request safe treatment for our crew." "You are in no position to request anything," the alien replied. "But you will not be harmed if you do not resist." "Prepare for transport." Park gripped his rifle tighter. "Captain, I do not like this." "None of us do, Sergeant. But we are outnumbered and outgunned. We will cooperate for now and look for a chance to escape later." Dr. Kim saved her research data and locked down her computer systems. Choi did the same with the communication logs. If they were going to be prisoners, at least they would not give away information about Earth easily. The bridge began to fill with a strange blue light. It felt warm and tingly like standing in summer rain. "Transport beam," Dr. Kim said. "They are bringing someone aboard." "Stay calm, everyone," Captain Lee ordered. "Let me do the talking." The light grew brighter. Park could feel the energy making his teeth buzz. His rifle felt heavier in his hands, and he noticed that the metal parts were getting warm. That was strange, but he did not have time to think about it. The light faded, and they were no longer alone on the bridge. 5 alien beings stood on the bridge of the Soul's Pride. They were tall, taller than any human, with long arms and legs that looked fragile. Their skin seemed to be made of the same crystal material as their ships, shifting between different colors as they moved. They wore armor that looked like it was grown rather than built, with smooth curves that followed their strange body shapes. The largest alien stepped forward. Golden light pulsed under his crystal skin, and his armor was more detailed than the others. Captain Lee guessed this was their leader. "I am Admiral Thexvor of the Vorthak Empire," the alien said. His voice came from everywhere at once, not from his mouth. "You are now prisoners of the Empire. Your ship and everything on it belongs to us." Captain Lee stepped forward, keeping his hands where the aliens could see them. "I am Captain Lee Dongwu. My crew and I are explorers from Earth. We came here in peace." Admiral Thexvor looked around the bridge with what might have been amusement. His large eyes, which had no pupils that Lee could see, seemed to take in every detail. "Earth? Never heard of it. Your technology is very primitive. Look at this metal box you call a ship. Look at these simple computers. My people were building starships when your world was still cooling from its birth." Dr. Kim So-young watched the aliens with scientific curiosity. Their technology was amazing, but she noticed something interesting. They seemed surprised by simple things on the human ship. One of the aliens was staring at a basic toolkit like it was something magical. "Your ship is built like a fortress," Admiral Thexvor continued, running one long finger along the wall. "Thick metal, heavy construction, but it is still primitive. Why do you build everything so heavy and strong?" "Because space is dangerous," Captain Lee replied. "Our ships need to survive asteroid hits, radiation storms, and equipment failures. We build them to last." The Admiral laughed again. "Afraid of a few rocks in space? Our ships are made of living crystal. They heal themselves if they are damaged. They grow stronger over time. Your metal will only rust and break." Sergeant Park Ji-ho stood quietly holding his plasma rifle. He watched the aliens carefully, noting how they moved, where they looked, what they seemed to fear or ignore. One thing bothered him. They kept staring at his weapon like it was a toy. "What is that?" Admiral Thexvor asked, pointing at Park's rifle. "Some kind of primitive projectile weapon." "It is a plasma rifle," Park replied in his calm voice. "Plasma?" The Admiral seemed amused. "You mean you actually burn things to make energy?" "How crude. Our weapons use pure thought to reshape matter itself." One of the other aliens, smaller than the Admiral but wearing similar armor, stepped closer. "Sir, should we confiscate their weapons?" "Why bother?" Thexvor replied. "What could they possibly do to us with such simple tools?" Park felt his grip tighten on the rifle. These aliens thought human weapons were toys. They had no idea what they were dealing with. But he stayed quiet and waited for orders from his captain. Dr. Kim decided to try a different approach. "Your technology is very impressive," she said to the Admiral. "How do your ships move so smoothly through space?" "Child's play," Thexvor replied, clearly enjoying the chance to show off. "We use biocrystal matrices to create localized space distortions. The ship does not move through space like space moves around the ship." "Amazing," Dr. Kim said, and she meant it. "The energy requirements must be enormous." "Not at all. The crystals store stellar energy for thousands of years. Very efficient." Corporal Choi Min-ki spoke up from his communication station. "Sir, I am still getting signals from their fleet. They are talking to each other but not with radio waves. Some kind of biological communication. Admiral Thexivore nodded. Of course. All Vorthak are connected through the bionet. We share thoughts, feelings, experiences instantly across any distance. Very useful for coordinating fleet movements. Captain Lee filed that information away. If the aliens shared thoughts, then they might all know what was happening on this ship. That could be good or bad, depending on what happened next. Now, Admiral Thexivore said, turning back to the humans, you will come with us to the flagship. Your ship will be studied and then scrapped for materials. Your people will be evaluated for usefulness. Usefulness? Lee asked. Some species make good workers. Others are better for experiments. A few become food. We will decide what you are good for. Park's jaw tightened, but he kept his weapon lowered. Captain Lee noticed the movement and gave him a small shake of the head. Not yet. Dr. Kim stepped forward. Admiral, surely we can work out some kind of agreement. Our people have much to offer. Scientific knowledge, cultural exchange, trade opportunities. Trade? Thexivore seemed confused. Why would we trade with primitives? We take what we want. It is more efficient. But think of what you might learn from us, Dr. Kim pressed. Different perspectives, new ways of solving problems. Even primitive technology might inspire new ideas. The Admiral looked around the bridge again. What could we possibly learn from creatures who build with dead metal and burn chemicals for energy? That was when Admiral Thexivore made his mistake. His eyes fell on Sergeant Park's plasma rifle again. The weapon looked so simple, so crude compared to Vorthak bioweapons. It was obviously just a metal tube with some basic controls. This thing, for example, the Admiral said, walking toward Park. What could we learn from such a primitive device? Park stepped back instinctively. Sir, that weapon is what? Thexivore interrupted. Dangerous to whom? It looks like something a child would build from scrap metal. Dr. Kim realized what was about to happen. Admiral, I would not recommend. But Thexivore was already reaching out with his crystal hand. He wanted to examine this primitive human weapon more closely. He wanted to show his subordinates how crude and simple human technology was. 그건 만지면 안 돼, Park shouted in Korean. The words came out automatically. The same warning he had given to countless new soldiers who tried to handle weapons they did not understand. But Admiral Thexivore did not speak Korean. He did not understand the urgency in Park's voice. He saw only a primitive soldier trying to protect a primitive weapon. Do not be afraid, little human, Thexivore said. I will give it back to you when I am finished examining it. His crystal fingers closed around the grip of the plasma rifle. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the rifle's internal systems registered an unauthorized user attempting to operate the weapon. Safety protocols engaged automatically. The rifle had been built by humans for humans with human safety in mind. Every human soldier knew the basic rule. Never let anyone else handle your weapon. The rifle's designers had made sure that rule could not be broken, even accidentally. Admiral Thexivore's hand locked around the grip as the rifle security system activated. His expression changed from amusement to confusion to alarm as he tried to let go and found that he could not. What is happening? He demanded. Park watched with growing concern. Sir, you need to release the weapon immediately. I cannot. Thexivore pulled harder, and that was when the real safety system kicked in. The rifle generated a localized gravity field around its grip, 15 times normal Earth gravity, concentrated in a space smaller than a human hand. For humans, this made the weapon impossible to steal but still usable by the authorized operator. For beings with crystal bones designed for low-gravity environments, the sound was like breaking glass but much louder. Admiral Thexivore's scream filled the bridge of the Soul's Pride. It was not like any sound the humans had ever heard. It was high and sharp like crystal breaking mixed with the cry of a dying animal. The sound seemed to come from inside their heads as much as from the Admiral's mouth. The plasma rifle fell to the floor with a heavy thud. Admiral Thexivore staggered backward, holding his right hand against his chest. Where his hand should have been, there was now a twisted mess of broken crystal and flowing liquid that might have been blood. By the void, one of the other aliens cried out. Admiral! What happened? Thexivore could not answer. He was making small gasping sounds and the golden light under his skin was flickering like a dying flame. His crystal armor was cracking, and strange fluids were leaking from the joints. The alien who had spoken before, the one with the lieutenant's markings, rushed to help his commander. Commander Zethal, he said to himself, then looked at the humans with new eyes. What did you do to him? Captain Lee stepped forward carefully, his hands still visible. We did nothing. Your Admiral grabbed Sergeant Park's weapon against our warnings. It is just a primitive gun, Zethal shouted. How could it do this? Dr. Kim So-young moved toward her medical kit. I can help him, she said. But I need to understand his biology first. Stay back. Zethal pointed his own weapon at Dr. Kim. It looked like a living thing, shifting and changing shape in his hand. You have done enough damage. But Admiral Thexvor was getting worse. The cracks in his armor were spreading, and more fluid was leaking out. He was trying to speak, but only broken sounds came out. He is dying, Dr. Kim said quietly. If you want to save him, you need to let me help. Sergeant Park picked up his plasma rifle from the floor. He checked it quickly, no damage, all systems normal. The safety protocols had worked exactly as designed. The weapon is not broken, he announced. It did what it was supposed to do. Which was what? Zethal demanded. Prevent unauthorized use, Park replied simply. Dr. Kim was scanning Admiral Thexvor with her medical device. The readings were strange, but starting to make sense. His bone structure is crystalline, she said. Beautiful, but very fragile compared to human bones. The weapon's security system generates a localized gravity field. 15 Gs concentrated around the grip. 15 Gs? Zethal looked confused. 15 times normal Earth gravity, Captain Lee explained. For a human, that makes the weapon too heavy to lift unless you are authorized. For someone with crystal bones, the understanding hit Zethal like a physical blow. It crushed his hand. The system is designed for human safety parameters, Dr. Kim continued, still working on her readings. Humans evolved on a heavy world with strong gravity. Our bones are dense, our muscles are strong. Your Admiral's hand was not built to handle that kind of force. Admiral Thexvor finally managed to speak. His voice was weak and full of pain. How is this possible? You are primitives. Your weapons are crude. Captain Lee knelt down beside the injured alien. Our weapons are built for our world and our people. What you call primitive, we call reliable. Corporal Choi was monitoring the communication systems. Captain, he said quietly, something is happening with their fleet. The communication signals are getting stronger and they sound agitated. Dr. Kim looked up from her scanner. The bionet, she said. If they share thoughts and feelings, then the entire fleet just experienced Admiral Thexvor's pain. On cue, Zethal pressed his hand to his head. The fleet is in chaos, he said. Everyone felt the Admiral's injury. They are demanding to know what happened. Tell them the truth, Captain Lee suggested. Your Admiral was hurt by our safety systems. Not by a weapon, not by an attack, but by a simple security feature. Simple? Zethal stared at the plasma rifle in Park's hands. That thing generated enough force to shatter crystal bone. How is that simple? Park checked his rifle again. It is basic gravity manipulation. Every weapon has it. Standard safety feature for the last 50 years. Gravity manipulation? Admiral Thexvor struggled to sit up. You manipulate gravity as a safety feature? Of course, Dr. Kim said, as if it was obvious. How else would you prevent weapon theft? Chemical locks can be bypassed, electronic locks can be hacked. Gravity fields are simple and reliable. The aliens looked at each other with growing alarm. Commander Zethal spoke slowly. If this is a safety feature, what do your actual weapons do? Sergeant Park smiled for the first time since the aliens had boarded. Would you like a demonstration? No, Zethal said quickly. No demonstrations, Admiral Thexvor was thinking despite his pain. These humans called gravity manipulation simple. They built their safety systems to handle forces that could kill Vorthak warriors. What did that say about their actual military capabilities? Your ship, he said weakly. The thick metal hull, the heavy construction. It is not primitive, is it? Captain Lee shook his head. Our ships are built to survive in 15 Gs of acceleration. Direct asteroid impacts, solar radiation that would sterilize most worlds, and equipment failures that would strand us in deep space for months. And your people? Zethal asked. How strong are you? Dr. Kim looked at her medical readings of the Admiral. Compared to you? Very strong. Your crystalline structure is beautiful and efficient, but fragile. We are built like... She paused, trying to find the right comparison. Like armored vehicles. Admiral Thexvor closed his eyes. The Vorthak Empire had conquered dozens of species over the centuries. They had always been the advanced ones, the superior ones. They had technology that other species could not even understand. But these humans were different. They were not more advanced. They were built for survival in conditions that would kill most Vorthak instantly. Their primitive technology was actually over-engineered for environments that the Vorthak could not even imagine. "Commander," he said to Zethal, "send a message to the fleet. Tell them to stand down." "Stand down, sir?" "Yes, no aggressive action. These humans are—" He paused, looking at Park's rifle. "More dangerous than we thought." Corporal Choi was still monitoring the alien fleet communications. "Captain, their signals are changing. Less agitation, more confusion." "They are trying to understand what happened," Dr. Kim said. "Imagine if you shared thoughts with thousands of people and suddenly one of them experienced something impossible." Captain Lee stood up. "Admiral, we still want to resolve this peacefully. Your people are obviously very advanced. Perhaps we can learn from each other." Admiral Thexavor looked at his shattered hand, then at the humans standing calmly around him. "Learn from each other," he repeated. "Yes, I think we have much to learn." Commander Zethal was receiving messages through the bionet. "Admiral, the fleet commanders are asking for orders. Should we proceed with the capture?" "No," Thexavor said firmly. "Signal for medical assistance and request a full diplomatic team. We are going to talk to these humans properly." "Diplomatic team, sir?" "Yes, Commander. It seems we have made some incorrect assumptions about these people." Sergeant Park slung his rifle across his back. "Good," he said. "I was running low on warnings anyway." The medical team arrived within minutes. 3 Vorthak appeared on the bridge in the same blue light that had brought the boarding party. They carried devices that looked like living creatures, all flowing curves and pulsing lights. The lead medic, who introduced herself as Healer Veltara, immediately began working on Admiral Thexavor's shattered hand. Dr. Kim So-young watched with fascination. The alien medical technology was incredible. The devices seemed to be analyzing the Admiral's injury and growing new crystal structures to replace the broken ones. But she noticed something troubling. "The regeneration is not working properly," she told Healer Veltara. "The new crystal formation is weaker than the original." Veltara looked up in surprise. "How can you tell?" "My scanner can analyze crystal density and structural integrity. The new growth has microfractures throughout the matrix." The alien healer checked her own instruments. "You are correct. I do not understand why the healing is incomplete." Dr. Kim studied her readings more carefully. "I think I know the problem. The gravity field did not just break his hand. It compressed the crystal structure beyond its recovery point. The damage goes deeper than it appears." Admiral Thexavor groaned softly. "Will I heal properly?" "Eventually," Dr. Kim said. "But you need a different approach. Your natural healing is trying to restore the original crystal pattern, but that pattern was fundamentally altered by the gravity compression." Commander Zethal stepped closer. "What are you suggesting?" "I would need to study your biology more, but I think we could design a support structure to help the new crystal growth form properly. Something that accounts for the gravity damage." Healer Veltara was skeptical. "Your technology could help Vorthak healing?" "Different approaches to the same problem," Dr. Kim replied. "Your biotechnology is amazing, but you have never dealt with this kind of injury before. We have a lot of experience with gravity-related injuries." Captain Lee watched the exchange with interest. Here was an opportunity to show that humans could contribute something valuable. "Dr. Kim, do what you can to help." While the medical work continued, Corporal Choi was analyzing the communication patterns from the alien fleet. "Captain, I think they are having some kind of debate. The signal patterns keep changing between different ships." "What kind of debate?" Lee asked. "I am not sure, sir, but it looks like different groups in the fleet are arguing about something." Commander Zethal confirmed Choi's observation. "The fleet commanders are confused. Admiral Thexavor's injury has raised many questions about human capabilities." "What kind of questions?" Sergeant Park asked. "Well, for example, your weapons safety system uses gravity manipulation. In our experience, only the most advanced civilizations can manipulate gravity at all, and you use it for simple security locks." Dr. Kim looked up from her work on the Admiral's hand. "Gravity manipulation is basic physics. We have been using it for decades." "Basic physics," Zethal repeated slowly. "To us, gravity manipulation represents the highest achievement of technological civilization." Captain Lee began to understand the scope of the misunderstanding. "Commander, what other technologies do you consider to be signs of advanced civilization?" "Well, matter transmission, obviously. Faster than light communication. Artificial intelligence. Energy to matter conversion, Corporal Choi laughed. Sir, should I tell him about our computer systems? Computer systems? Zethal looked confused. Every human ship has artificial intelligence systems, Choi explained. They handle navigation, life support, communication, damage control, basic ship operations. You have artificial intelligence on this small survey vessel? Of course, Captain Lee said. How else would 4 people manage all the ship's systems? The AI handles routine tasks so we can focus on our mission. Admiral Thexvor was listening despite his pain. Show me, he said weakly. Captain Lee nodded to Choi, who activated the ship's main AI interface. A calm voice filled the bridge. Good afternoon, Captain. I notice we have visitors aboard. Should I activate enhanced security protocols? No thank you, Hal, just normal monitoring. Understood. Should I prepare medical reports on our guests? I am detecting unusual biological signatures. That would be helpful. Thank you. The AI began displaying holographic readouts of the Vorthak visitors, showing their crystal bone structure, bioelectrical patterns, and other biological details. Commander Zethal stared at the displays. Your computer is analyzing our biology in real time. Hal is very good at pattern recognition, Dr. Kim said proudly. Hal, can you suggest any modifications to help with the Admiral's healing process? Certainly, Dr. Kim. Based on the crystal structure analysis, I recommend a scaffolding approach using microgravity fields to guide the new crystal growth. I can fabricate the necessary components using our 3D manufacturing systems. Microgravity fields? Healer Veltara looked amazed. You can create precise gravity adjustments at the cellular level? It is standard medical technology, Dr. Kim replied. We use it for bone regeneration in high-gravity environments. Admiral Thexvor struggled to sit up straighter. Commander, I need to speak with the fleet immediately. Sir, you should rest. No, this is too important. Thexvor looked directly at Captain Lee. Captain, your people are not primitives, are they? We never claimed to be advanced, Lee replied carefully. We are just explorers trying to understand the universe. But you have technology that we consider impossible. Gravity manipulation, artificial intelligence, matter fabrication, and you treat these things as normal tools. Sergeant Park adjusted his rifle strap. Every tool is normal until you need it for something important. What he means, Dr. Kim explained, is that we develop technology to solve problems. We needed artificial intelligence to manage complex ships with small crews. We needed gravity manipulation to create safe working environments. We needed matter fabrication to repair equipment in deep space. And weapons? Commander Zethal asked, looking at Park's rifle. What problems do weapons solve? Park thought for a moment. Protection. Sometimes you meet people who want to hurt you. Sometimes space has dangerous creatures. Sometimes equipment fails and you need to clear obstacles. But why make the safety system so powerful? Because if someone takes your weapon, they might use it against you or your friends. The safety system makes sure that cannot happen. Admiral Thexvor was beginning to understand. You build everything to handle worst-case scenarios. Of course, Captain Lee said. Space is dangerous. Equipment fails. People make mistakes. Plans go wrong. If you do not prepare for the worst case, you do not survive very long. Healer Veltara had been working with Dr. Kim to set up the microgravity healing system. This approach is completely different from ours, she said. We focus on elegance and efficiency. You focus on reliability and redundancy. Both approaches have advantages, Dr. Kim replied diplomatically. Admiral Thexvor activated his communication implant. Commander Zethal, connect me to the fleet. Sir, are you sure? Yes, they need to hear this directly. A moment later, Thexvor was speaking to all 27 ships of his fleet through the BioNet communication system. The humans could not hear his words, but they could see the reactions of Commander Zethal and the other Vorthak on the bridge. Admiral, Zethal said when the communication ended, the fleet commanders are requesting immediate withdrawal to Imperial space. Why? Captain Lee asked. Because, Admiral Thexvor said with what might have been a smile, they are afraid of what your actual military capabilities might be, if this is what your civilian scientists carry for protection. Sergeant Park patted his rifle affectionately. This old thing? This is just basic equipment. You should see what the real soldiers carry. The silence that followed lasted for a long time. 2 hours later, Admiral Thexvor's hand was healing properly, thanks to Dr. Kim's microgravity treatment. The alien leader sat in the Soul's Pride's small conference room. looking very different from the confident conqueror who had boarded the ship. His crystal skin was still pale, but the golden light was returning slowly. Captain Lee sat across from him with Dr. Kim and Sergeant Park nearby. Commander Zethel stood behind his admiral, still looking nervous about the whole situation. "I owe you an apology," Admiral Thexivor said finally, "and an explanation." "Go ahead," Captain Lee replied. "The Vorthak Empire has conquered 43 star systems over the past 1,000 years. We have always been the advanced civilization. Other species build with metal and chemicals. We grow our technology from living crystal. Other species fight with simple weapons. We reshape matter with our thoughts. But you are different," Zethel added. "You have technology that should be impossible for a species at your development level." Dr. Kim leaned forward. "What do you mean, development level?" "We classify civilizations by their technological achievements," Thexivor explained. "Level 1 uses basic tools and simple energy. Level 2 masters chemistry and electricity. Level 3 develops spaceflight and basic energy weapons. Level 4 achieves faster-than-light travel and energy manipulation." "What level are we?" Captain Lee asked. "Based on your ship design and apparent technology, we classified you as Level 2, possibly early Level 3. Sergeant Park smiled. "And what level are you?" "Level 5. We have mastered biological technology, gravity manipulation, and matter transmission." Dr. Kim looked confused. "But we have all those technologies too." "Exactly," Admiral Thexivor said. "That is the problem. You have Level 5 technologies, but you use them like Level 3 tools. Your artificial intelligence is more advanced than ours, but you treat it like a simple assistant. Your gravity manipulation is more precise than ours, but you use it for safety locks. Your matter fabrication is more flexible than ours, but you use it for basic repairs." "I still do not understand the problem," Captain Lee said. Commander Zethal answered. "The problem is that we tried to conquer a Level 5 civilization that disguises itself as Level 3. From our perspective, that makes you either incredibly humble or incredibly dangerous. Or both," Admiral Thexivor added quietly. Corporal Choi spoke up from his communication station. "Admiral, I have been analyzing your fleet's communication patterns. Your ships are not just talking to each other. They are sharing processing power and decision-making. Is that correct?" "Yes," Zethal replied. "The bionet connects all Vorthak minds across any distance. We think and act as one when necessary." "Interesting," Choi said. "But what happens if the network is disrupted?" The question seemed to disturb both aliens. "Why do you ask?" Thexivor said carefully. "Well, from what I can see, your entire fleet depends on constant communication. If something interfered with the bionet, your ships would be isolated and confused." Dr. Kim understood where Choi was going with this. "Our systems are designed to work independently. Each ship, each computer, each weapon can operate alone if necessary. We assume that communication will fail eventually." "You plan for failure," Admiral Thexivor said slowly. "We plan for everything to fail," Sergeant Park corrected. "Ships break down. Communication gets jammed. Weapons malfunction. People make mistakes. If your survival depends on everything working perfectly, you will not survive very long." Admiral Thexivor thought about this. The Vorthak Empire had grown strong because their technology was superior to everyone they met. But what happened when they met someone whose technology was just as good, but built with completely different principles? "Admiral," Captain Lee said, "I have a proposal." "What kind of proposal?" "Instead of conquest, how about cooperation? Your people are masters of biological technology. Our people are experts at building reliable systems. Together we might achieve things that neither of us could do alone. You would work with us after we tried to enslave you?" "You made a mistake based on wrong information," Lee replied. "We have all done that. The question is what we do next." Dr. Kim pulled up some data on her computer. "For example, your biohealing technology is amazing, but it fails when dealing with certain types of trauma. Our gravity-based medicine could help with that. Meanwhile, your living crystal technology could make our ships more efficient and adaptable." Sergeant Park nodded. "And your bioweapons are impressive, but they probably do not work well in extreme environments. Our weapons are built to function in any conditions." "You would share military technology?" Commander Zethal asked in surprise. "Defensive technology," Park clarified. "There is a difference between helping someone protect themselves and helping them attack others." Admiral Thexivor was quiet for a long time. Finally, he activated his communication implant again. The humans watched as he had another bionet conversation with his fleet. The fleet commanders have agreed to try cooperation, he announced when the conversation ended. But they want guarantees. What kind of guarantees? Captain Lee asked. They want to know that Earth will not use its advanced technology to threaten the Empire. Dr. Kim laughed. Admiral, we are 4 people in a small survey ship. Even if we wanted to threaten your empire, we would not know where to start. Yes, but you represent the entire civilization with the same technology. Captain Lee stood up. Then let me make you an offer. Return with us to Earth. Meet our leaders. See our civilization for yourself. Judge whether we are a threat or a potential ally. You would take us to your home world? Why not? If we were planning to attack you, we would hardly invite you to see our defenses. Admiral Thexvor looked at his shattered hand, now healing properly thanks to human medical assistance. Commander, signal the fleet. We will escort these humans home. Sir, you heard me. And send word to the Imperial Council. Tell them we have made contact with a new civilization. A very interesting civilization. Sergeant Park stood up and checked his plasma rifle one more time. Admiral, before we go anywhere, there is one more thing you should know about this weapon. What now? Thexvor asked nervously. The safety system you experienced? That was the lowest setting. I can adjust it up to 50 Gs if necessary. 50 Gs? Commander Zethal looked horrified. Sure, sometimes you have to deal with really strong opponents. Park smiled. But do not worry. I will make sure everyone knows not to touch it. Admiral Thexvor laughed despite himself. Sergeant Park, I think your people and mine are going to get along very well. 3 days later, the combined fleet of human and Vorthak ships jumped toward Earth. The Soul's Pride led the way, its simple metal hull looking very small next to the massive crystal ships of the Empire. But appearances, as Admiral Thexvor had learned, could be very deceiving. In his private quarters, Sergeant Park cleaned his plasma rifle and thought about the events of the past few days. He had been telling people not to touch his weapon for years. Today was the first time someone had actually listened, eventually. He smiled and locked the rifle in its rack. Tomorrow, he would have to explain human weapons to an entire alien empire. He hoped they would be better listeners than their admiral had been. In the conference room, Dr. Kim and Admiral Thexvor were already planning joint research projects. Captain Lee was working with Commander Zethal to coordinate the fleet movements, and Corporal Choi was teaching the Vorthak communication officers about human network security. It was going to be an interesting trip to Earth.